everyone, and welcome to today's episode of The Real Deal with Aanam C. And on today's episode, I'm super thrilled to have someone who is the most special person in my life and probably the most special guest. I want to welcome on the pod my husband, my business partner, my life partner, my best friend, Gerard, Jayaranjan. Hi, G. Welcome to the pod.
Hello.
Do you like your introduction?
Kind of.
I knew you would have some feedback on it.
No, but I have questions which I'm going to ask.
So this
later
is going to be a lot of you asking me questions today, apart from just me asking you questions.
Yeah.
So
You question me enough anyway.
no comments. So this is the first time we're filming an episode at home. This is a little bit of a disclaimer because we do have our cat running about. So in case you hear random mews, you know exactly where they're coming from. He is someone who worked in the advertising industry for 21 years.
Yeah.
Has won a Cannes Lion Award for his agency, has been national creative director for several agencies, has worked across mainline and digital, and you have spearheaded some fantastic campaigns in your advertising career. So what the hell made you give it up for me? Because again, for context for you guys, in 2019, Jerry quit his advertising career and we work together now.
2019.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
Independence Day. 14th of August
Oh,
was your last working day.
Yeah, 15th August. Yeah.
I remember
Sure.
saying like, Happy Independence Day to you the next morning.
Yeah, I remember. So what made me give up?
Yeah.
For love.
Aw. Are you saying there was absolutely no business behind that? Come on. We worked
No.
well together.
We kind of
What do you
work
mean?
well together. I mean, it took us a while to get bearings right,
Yeah.
working together.
3 months?
Took a bit more than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like the first few months, and because I'm all about spilling the real deal on this podcast, the first few months of us working together, I think hum dono kutta bili ban gaye the. Because we're very different people.
Yeah.
We're the same person, but the way we operate on a day-to-day basis is just very, very different.
Yeah, because the backgrounds are different, right? I mean, you've never had a corporate job.
Yep.
Well, I've had a corporate job
Mm-hmm.
all my life.
Mhm.
I mean, pretty much all my life. So yeah, that kind of made a difference on how we approach work.
Yeah, I'm also somebody who, I don't say this to make hustle culture sound cool because I would really like to just sit and chill and do nothing on many days if my life would allow me to. But on like Sundays, I struggle to switch off. And I remember I would land up talking shop with you on Sunday and you would be like, no, come back tomorrow morning. We're not talking work on a Sunday.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, work cannot be 24/7.
No, you're right. And it's me who actually needs to adopt the idea of taking that break, in a structured, systematic way to prevent burnout and mental sanity more than anything else.
Yeah, but I think you have improved in that front.
Thank you.
I've seen that improvement. I've seen that conscious effort to not let work take over your life, which you have started doing. Yeah.
But some of that credit goes to you because you kind of helped me set those boundaries for myself. I'm somebody who struggles with disconnecting from work. I think I'm so deeply wired and programmed to be always on, which obviously, I credit and discredit that to being a content creator for 12 years. And you've been very patient with me on that front. So kudos to you
I
on
don't
that.
think I had an option,
Well,
but be patient.
wait, on that note, I have a question for you. And this is something I knew I wanted to ask you on the pod. For those of you who've been following me from before and have watched my vlogs, you might know this. But in case you are a listener and have discovered me through the pod, you should know that I'm your... I don't know if I'm an extrovert, but I'm definitely an ambivert. I used to be an extrovert for sure. I'm more social than Jerry, for lack of any other way of really putting
You're
it.
not just social, you're a social platform. I think everyone around you would attest to the fact that you are a social platform by yourself.
No.
Yeah, Facebook could be Aanam Book. Instagram could be Aanamgram.
This is your lame sense of humor that is not
No.
going to go.
Google's Orkut could be Aanam's Chirkut. So yeah,
No, listen, I feel like I've definitely become more of an ambivert rather than an extrovert. I think that's happened with age more than anything. And when we met, even I was already a content creator and you were an NCD at an agency. Were you ever uncomfortable with how much of my life and vis-a-vis, of course, our lives has been on social media? Because You're someone who's very private. You're not just private, like you're very private.
Mm, initially, yes. I wasn't uncomfortable. I just found it strange.
I feel like a lot of people might assume that the partner of a social media influencer is automatically okay with a lot. So like is there an angle where at some point you were like, oh, you know what, forget it, it's her job, let her do it, or okay, no, now I want to say no. Like I remember we went on that trip to Turkey in 2019, and it was supposed to be just a proper chill holiday where we took 2 weeks. We went across Istanbul, Antalya, we did Izmir, um, we went to Cappadocia, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to do content on this trip. I'm not going to do content on this trip. And then I ended up vlogging the whole trip.
No, so that's fine. I mean, that's part of your job, right? I mean, obviously, it's a great content peg if you're traveling to showcase the countries that you travel to. The part that I don't get uncomfortable with, but sometimes I say no to you, right?
Yeah.
When you ask me to be in front of camera, come sit with me, I say no to you because at that time I don't feel like it. But I respect the fact that you respect that and you don't just shove your camera in my face. So that's fine. That works well for me. I mean, I can say no to you and I know that you will listen. So that's good.
For a second, think that I am not your wife and tell me what it genuinely feels like to be married to a social media influencer. I'm not your wife, be honest. Like in this
But if you're
moment.
not my wife, then how can I tell
I'm
you?
just a podcast host who's asking you what it feels like. Because you are still married to Anam, but I am not Anam. Don't complicate it.
You are complicating it. No, wait. We are seated here in our house. You're asking me questions. I have to come back home every night and you ask me to answer this question.
No, come on, be honest. You know
I'm
I
fine
wouldn't.
with it. It's your job, right? I mean, it's like married to any other woman who has a career, right? I mean, you could be a banker for all I know. You could be a lawyer for all you care. You could be a doctor for. You're just married to someone who has a career. Just that your career is on a social media platform and it's public. That's the only difference.
I love that. I love that you take it so like matter of factly. Like you do most things in life, to be honest.
But it's a fact. I mean, there's no other way to look at it.
Yeah, true.
So wait, I have a few questions for you.
Go for it.
On 17th of June 1991, not too far from here, you were unleashed, launched, unfurled, unboxed.
All right.
Were your first words when it came shooting out, like, share and subscribe to the doctors and nurses?
You know, this is not the first time I'm hearing this joke from you, but for some reason, every time you say it, I want to punch you.
But then tell me, is it the truth or not? I mean, a lot of followers have asked me to ask this.
Really now?
Yeah.
Followers have asked you to
Yeah, of
ask
course.
this. No. Well, for the record, my first words were not like, share, and subscribe.
So what were your first words?
Are you being literal or should I give you some smart answer?
No, I'm
I don't know
curious.
what my first words were. Mama, I'm guessing.
Mama.
I'm guessing. And also definitely not while I was unboxed, unfurled, unlaunched, released, whatever you're calling me.
Release is a good word. Yeah.
Released.
Premiere.
YouTube premiere.
So okay, let's go to your early childhood.
Hmm.
Do you remember anything of your early childhood?
Yeah,
What's your earliest childhood memory?
Apart from falling off half the flight of stairs, like one flight of stairs, half a floor, which I think I have some kind of vague memory on. I think crying on stage was one of my initial memories. It was the first time my mum ever signed me up for an elocution competition in school, and she made me. My costume was that I was a tandoori chicken.
Oh yeah, I have that photo.
So I had red crepe paper all around my body, and my 2 knees and elbows had foil on them. And I was literally like, they were like tied up together. And I had this big, I think, basketball or football that was covered in a yellow cloth that to make it look like it was a nimbu next to me. And I was literally placed on a huge silver platter. And when they put me on stage, I cried. And my teacher was nice enough to say, okay, we'll send her back and give her another shot at the end of the this, and I came first. So
You came first?
I did. I
Because
don't
of
think
the
I
crying or?
no, man. Apparently I did good. I don't think I should have come first considering it was my second attempt, but I did somehow.
Can we insert that photograph here? Because I have the photograph.
Yeah, for videos, we should be able to insert the photograph here.
Great. So that was your earliest memory,
I
earliest?
don't think so. I mean, I think it was after that that I was Mowgli in a school play at some point.
I have that photo too.
You have a lot of my baby pictures. It's almost embarrassing how many baby pictures you have of mine. Yeah, I was made to wear this. Mowgli's chaddi was what, red in color, something
No,
like
I
that.
mean brown.
Brown, yeah. And a couple of days before I had to go on stage, I threw a fit apparently, none of which I remember, going with my mum's story on this.
Auntie Namasi.
Auntie Namaste's, and they said that I refused to go on stage in just in underwear. So my mum had to make me a full body like jumpsuit of sorts, and which was like skin color. And then I wore the lal chaddi on it, and then I was Mowgli in school play, and I refused to go on just like that.
How nice.
Yeah, some of my earliest memories, I think.
But one of the earliest memories that your father has spoken to me about
Hmm.
is apparently in America, if I'm not mistaken, you did a room tour.
Europe.
In Europe, you did a room tour. How old were you then?
I was in the 5th standard. That makes me what? I think 10, 11 years old.
I don't think there was an Instagram back then. I
No.
don't think there was YouTube back then.
No clue if there was YouTube. There definitely wasn't Instagram.
So how did you do a room tour?
I actually have those videos, and it's so funny because I remember the one that Papa has specific memory of is the one that I did in Germany. Because at that point of time, my dad was obsessed with walking around with that video camera, that Sony video camera that I think all dads had at that point. And I was obsessed with being in front of it. So I would literally be like, welcome to Switzerland. This is our room. And I remember the one in Germany was something my dad would giggle over and still talks about often, where he's like, every time I showed a corner of the room, I would be like, Germany after all. I don't know why I kept saying that, but I kept saying, oh, this is a fancy German toilet, Germany after all. But I was vlogging without knowing I was vlogging, clearly.
But how come? I mean, there was no external influence. I don't think if you'd ever seen another vlog. But how come a room tour?
I feel like I used to watch a lot of these travel shows. Your NDTV Good Times is, and at that time there used to be someone who I have a very clear memory of watching, Ruby Bhatia.
Yeah.
I can't remember what channel she used to be on, but she used
to be a VJ, if I'm not mistaken, on MTV.
Yeah, and then she did some travel lifestyle content.
Yeah.
And I feel like at some point I knew I wanted to be in front of the camera and host things like a talk show or a travel show with things that I always thought were very up my alley.
Which you did later on.
Yeah, I did. While I was fresh out of college, I hosted a travel show for NDTV Good Times, I think it was. Yeah.
All right. I don't think content creation was a career option for you when you started off. From whatever that I've heard you speak of, it was a happy accident, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But before you got into content creation, you've done a couple of jobs here and there, which I wanted you to speak about for a long time. Now is probably the time. What all have you done before starting off as a content creator?
Yeah, you always ask me to talk about these, and I'm so bad at just kind of putting forward these things on camera. Okay, I've had a lot of random odd jobs. I did 14 internships between my first year of junior college to halfway through my second year BMM graduation.
So when you say 14 internships, was a college placing you there or?
No.
So how did those come about?
So these are not even the odd jobs I'm talking about. These internships I would literally scour for these online. There was a bunch of, Facebook was really hot and happening and new at the time, and I don't think Instagram existed still. Wow, I sound really old. I would literally keep an eye on these Facebook groups and look for absolutely any learning opportunities that I could get. So for example, my very first internship actually started before I even started my 11th standard, my first year in junior college.
Child labor.
It was really interesting because, so the summer after giving my 10th standard board exams, you know how sometimes people scout for talent out near colleges, near schools and things like that. I was with a big group of friends at Bandstand in Bandra, and this random person came up to me and said, do you want to be an RJ? And I thought that was so cool. And I said, I'm happy to give an audition. Sure. Because they were saying, come in and audition. And he spoke to me and he was like, he thinks you can do it. I can do it. I went in for the audition a week later
For an RJ.
for an RJ's job. Mind you, I was 15 at the time. And I
How
obviously,
loud were you
what do you
for a
mean?
random guy to walk up to you on
They were going
bandstand?
up to
Ah,
everyone. Like they were going up to like these groups of college kids, and we were a group of like some 10, 15 of us. And I went in and I gave the audition, and they said that they really liked me, but I was too young to be hired as an RJ. In fact, they were nice enough to recommend a couple of media schools and stuff like that to me. And the gentleman who spotted me, so to speak, that day, Mr. Suyash Mohan, I don't know if you're listening, Suyash, went on to be, you've met him, Jerry, went on to be, a friend for years and years. He's still someone I can call for advice and someone who reaches out to me. And my first internship actually happened via him because he said, "You're so good at this, you should learn and kind of figure things out." So I interned at a media house that's expertise was in audio. So they would like create radio jingles, and the founder was a really famous voiceover artist. I would transcribe radio jingles, for their records and stuff like that.
how much were you paid?
I wasn't paid at all.
Ah,
This was one of those zero paid internships. On the contrary, because I was only 15, my dad used to give me pocket money and then extra to travel to Lokhandwala every day to Moria Estate from, Pali.
hmm.
So but it was such an enriching learning experience, which I think was my first internship ever.
Carry on.
Now I don't remember the exact order of things, but for example, one of my other internships, which was a very enriching experience, was I was hired as an intern by Viacom for a project with the Lodha Group. I don't want to deep dive into what that was about because I don't know if I am allowed to.
Viacom for Lodha Group.
So Viacom had, Network 18, who had like a number of events and Viacom and all of this and all of that. My God, it's been so long. I'm mixing details up. But it was Network 18 that hired me, and one of their events kind of divisions had something going on, an activation going on for the Lodha group. And I remember, Jerry, when I went and gave that interview, and typically on internships, we would get 3,000 rupees a month and 5,000 rupees a month. That internship offered me 18,000 rupees a month.
Wow.
I thought this is it. Like I'm set. You know what I mean? Like the feeling of I've hit jackpot with the best internship I possibly could. And they needed like two more people, and I remember recommending a couple of friends. So three of us got together and did this internship together. It was supposed to be a 45-day internship, which got extended to a 90-day internship, which was a big bonus for us at the end. At the end.
But
of
what
it.
was your job profile? What did you do?
I needed to meet buyers from a specific Lodha property and kind of just tell them about the activation. And I think my biggest learning, and like one of the many learnings really, was that I learned how to really be a professional at that time. This is 2011. So I was turning 20. I hadn't fully turned 20 at the time. And it really taught me little lessons. Like, for example, what formal attire is like. For example, I'd never had to wear formal attire in my life before. As someone who grew up in a fairly comfortable upper middle class house, I wasn't all that familiar with how to travel by train and get going and get your things together. My mom used to worry a little bit, but I've traveled everywhere, like your Virar, your Thanes. I've traveled everywhere by train. I know the city at the back of my hand. A lot of credit to that also goes to that particular internship because I was traveling everywhere to meet these people. I'm going to sound really spoiled by saying these things because this is the bare minimum, but in all honesty, as someone who had to fight with my own parents कि मुझे करने दो, मुझे गाड़ी नहीं चाहिए. I want to learn on my own. Like I want to be independent and figure my own ish out. It was really cool. I remember this one time I got wet in the rain and my formal pants got wet all the way till my ankles. And when I reached this person's office that I was supposed to have a very formal meeting with, at a really swanky office, might I say, in Worli, I was so embarrassed. And I remember the first thing that I said to that gentleman was that I apologized for looking a little bit obviously frumpy because it had poured and I was looking like a mess. And Yeah, but it was just, again,
So at this point in time, were you still trying to figure out what your career might be, or were you just doing this for fun?
no, if I'm being honest, no, if I'm being honest, I thought I knew what I was going to do.
And
I
what was that?
I knew that I was going to finish my graduation in BMM, my bachelor's in mass media, with a major in advertising, and I was going to apply and work with a magazine. I knew I wanted to be a beauty or fashion writer. My goal was to be a magazine editor.
Oh, that's strange because so basically you thought about having a corporate job.
Yeah.
But having said that, your family, as far as I know, I don't think they ever had a corporate job, so to speak. I mean, they've run their own businesses,
Yeah.
right? Your dad had a boutique.
Yep.
Your mother is a fashion designer. Your brother does his own real estate business. So how come you did not go down the road of I'm going to start off something on your own?
I mean, I did toy with the idea of I'll work in this industry for a few years, maybe 5, 10 years, and then start something of my
Oh,
own.
okay.
That definitely was something that I thought about, but it was also vague and up in the air. I knew I needed to be in media somehow because this is what I knew was right for me.
So media was always the
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's so funny. I remember my seventh grade class teacher telling my mom at report card, on what's it called? Report day, open day. It's called open day, right? I
no
remember
idea.
her telling my mom that, no, we don't have any complaints with Anam. There's just one thing. Her attention is in 10 different directions. She's a jack of all trades. And I remember me responding to, I didn't say it to my teacher, but what my mom told me. I said, Mom, I'm happy being a jack of all trades. When I'm older, I'll pick and choose the one thing I want to be amazing at. But I want to do 20 different things now to see what I'm going to be better at eventually and where I want to focus my energy at eventually. I had an internship in PR. I interned at a very well reputed PR agency called Edelman back in 2000. And I think this was also 10 or 11. And I used to work on the Audi account as an intern. I've worked, like I said, on the Lodha account when I worked, interned with Network 18. I've interned at Condé Nast for Vogue, and I worked on the launch of AD India at the time. I feel like every experience I had brought me a step closer to understanding what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. Like, I understood very early on that, okay, PR isn't probably not for me, because the way it seems to people on the outside is very different to the way it is inside. It's a really cool job to have, but unfortunately, there's also a lot of politics in the dynamics, and that's something I run in the opposite direction of.
back to your career bit.
Mhm.
So you've done these multiple internships.
Hmm.
You've been a salesperson of sorts.
Okay.
You've been an event hostess, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that was one of my very, very many odd jobs. I wouldn't count that in my internships.
But still,
Yeah.
jobs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's come to jobs now. All the jobs that you've held so far?
I don't know. I don't have exact designations for a bunch of them. Okay, so I'm gonna freewheel this a little bit. I've been an event hostess, like you said. Um, I've been a mall hostess, which is kind of different from an event hostess, because I remember I had to go and buy separate kind of black pants and white shirt, and I would stand in the middle of a mall and make announcements about the sale in the courtyard once every hour.
Which mall was this?
I think it was Infinity Malad. I did 3 or 4 malls, but they were all that side. And I remember I used to get paid 1,500 rupees a day. And I again thought it was the coolest shit ever because I was getting 1,500 rupees a day. This very, very sweet classmate of mine in college, Roma, if you're listening, I feel like she deserves a shout out. She used to do a lot of hostess gigs, and she got me introduced to that space. And I even remember her saying to me in college, um, she said, you speak really well. I will introduce you to this specific agent who does, kind of who keeps hostesses at more premium gigs. And I said, yes, please. And I remember he hired me for 1 or 2 gigs at the time, and they would pay a little bit more. So I feel like they would pay like 2,500 rupees a day or something. I remember being at this real estate conference somewhere in BKC back in the day when BKC was still very new and not as famous as it is today in Bombay, in Mumbai. And I would have to take down, the database of every person that was coming in to check the stuff at that booth for the reality company I was at. I've hosted children's birthday parties. I've hosted children's Christmas parties for those societies in Malad that are very, very active. So I would go there and like host these. I've had a lot of. I've stood outside colleges to get like sign-ups. This is a really cool one because I think I'll end up benefiting a lot from this. I was doing this thing for CNN back in the day. Of course, it came via an event company, so I wasn't recruited directly by CNN or anything. But we were all given these matching T-shirts and caps to wear, and I had to stand outside specific colleges on specific days. 3-4 of us together, again, college friends and I got together and did this, and we would have to have people fill in this specific survey that was meant for college kids, and the pull was that there would be a random selection of people who would win iPads. Not an affiliation to Apple or anything, but it was just like a prize or whatever. And I remember asking my supervisor, can I also fill this? Because maybe I'll also win an iPad. And fun, long story short, I won an iPad.
You did?
I did.
So wasn't that against
No,
contest
I
rules or
asked.
something?
I asked. That's why I asked my supervisor before, like, kind of filling things out. And I won an iPad, and it was really cool because I was like, "Wow, I won my first Apple product."
Okay, so what are the
I didn't
jobs?
even get the iPad home, by the way. I got it, I sold it, and I put the money together to buy my MacBook Pro at the time. I feel like my mantra was to say yes to everything because I wanted to just learn. I wanted to understand what happens in what industry. I wanted to understand what I like, what I dislike. I feel like when you read about things in theory, everything sounds cool or sounds uncool. But when you really truly give it a shot, you realize that, wait, this is something I could do. This is cool.
But did you ever have to sit down your folks and convince them of all these random gigs that you were taking up? I mean, being an event hostess, being a salesperson kind of sorts, being that annoying person with the survey, all of this, hosting parties.
I don't think I had to convince them per se, but I did think that they thought I was crazy. I mean, they still think I'm a little bit crazy.
A lot of people think that you're crazy.
Jeez, thanks. No, I mean, like, they did think, what's the need? Because I mean, Alhamdulillah, I came from a fairly comfortable background. Like I said, I didn't need to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
But I remember that I always had this thing where I said, "मैं खुद से करूँगी जो भी करूँगी यार."
so which is one of the reasons why you didn't join your father in his business.
So joining my father in his business probably wasn't something that I had, kind of planned for myself or envisioned to do myself. Also, was probably because his boutique was a menswear boutique. So I feel like if it was women's wear, I would have thought differently. But having said that, my mom always asked me. So my mom has been making Indian clothes for the last 28 years, I want to say. She started when I was about 3 years old. So yeah, 28 years. And she always kind of thought I would want to join her. She even tried to convince me for a short period. And then I realized that this isn't for me. I don't think I have it in me to do what either of them do, because I wanted to do things, just different things called out to me. Like, for example, media. I thought I was going to get a job. For me, it was the field that was calling out to me. It wasn't whether I have a job or whether I work somewhere. In fact, I'm somebody who thinks that having a job is the best thing ever because you have stability. यहाँ पे हम बेवकूफ लोग खुद का business कर करके you also struggle in months. I don't think people realize that as much. Taking responsibility of your team, of salaries, going through a period like COVID, going through, everything has its own pros and cons. And back at that time, I was very happy having a job. I mean, aiming towards having a job, really, honestly.
But you also started, if I'm not mistaken, a little social media agency.
I used to freelance. By the time I finished all of these internships, by the time now our timeline is at about halfway through my second year BMM, a friend introduced me to the owner of a frozen yogurt chain. And they were looking for somebody in social media to handle their social media. And I was always very social media savvy. I always enjoyed being on social media. And he introduced us. And I took them on as a client. Then I took on quite a few clients, actually. There was a point when I had about 10, 12 clients, maybe.
This was all before your content creation days.
This is before I even graduated. Yeah, all of this. I mean, I started my blog around more or less the same time, but this is all while I'm still in college. So I still haven't graduated because I graduated June 2012 and this kind of started in 10 and 11.
Interesting, because I mean, the reason why I'm asking this is that there is a small bunch of people out there who think that the dreaded N word, nepotism, right?
Mm.
So things were handed to you on a platter. Uh, I mean, but it's important for people to know that someone like you have also had to work hard to reach where they are or to even begin.
You know, the reason that doesn't pinch me as much, Jerry, and I'm just going to be really honest with this, is because I do acknowledge that I did have a certain amount of privilege. The fact that I could take up random odd jobs because I wanted to and not needed to. The fact that I could have done that first internship at zero stipend was because my dad was paying my rickshaw bills. So I'm not saying I got everything. Yeah, I'm self made, but I did have a comfortable starting point. So I'll never not acknowledge that.
No, that's fair, because I mean, but at the end of the day, you built whatever you built on your own,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's a fact that people need to realize. That's a fact that people need to realize that a lot of other content creators also build whatever they've built on their own.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever handed to anyone unless you go into the same family business and stuff like that.
But even in the same family business, I feel when people take on, let's say, their father or mother's role, if you're shitty at it, people are going to take that job back at the end of the day.
Fair.
Like, I even say this, I think you and I were having a conversation about nepotism in the movies, right? When we watched that Yash Chopra documentary on Netflix some time ago. I mean, yes, it's a foot in the door. It is. And I feel like everyone needs to acknowledge the privilege that they do have. It's that first access that needs to be acknowledged. The fact that you get that opportunity and that platform to kick off from. How high you kick or how far you jump is on you.
Coming back to your social media agency days, what was the agency called?
You just want to make fun of the name again. You know the name.
No, I don't.
You do know
actually.
the
I have forgotten it.
Candid communication. Thanks, dude. Thanks for bringing that up.
If I really wanted to make fun of your name, so to speak, what was your Hotmail email ID?
Stop it. We're not discuss. Stop it. I'm not mentioning this on the pod.
Of course.
I will get completely trolled on the internet. Actually, I think I've mentioned it in my vlogs. No. Listen, don't make me answer this. I will really just मेरी बेइज्जती हो जाएगी.
मैं बोल दूंगा.
बोल दो.
Her Hotmail ID was called Spexy Princess.
Fuck you.
At hotmail.com.
Fuck you. For putting it out there.
So anyway, so this was your social media agency days. I mean, that obviously died a natural death, or you let go, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even call it an agency because it was me and then I had a couple of assistants at the time. So it really wasn't an employee setup per se.
But you had your own office and stuff.
No. I have to be honest and say it wasn't, again, my dad was between tenants and he was nice enough to say, hey, the next tenant is gonna come in so and so months. So for a few months, if you want to use the space, you can.
Oh,
and so I took that opportunity with both hands and said, thank you. I get somewhere to sit and pretend to be a boss from. So
candid communication was that.
Yeah.
So that was candid communication, right? So when did you start your blog?
While I was freelancing in social media, I mean, candid communication, I just refer to it as freelancing in social media, I started my blog.
Why?
Why did I start my blog?
What made you start your blog?
So while I was freelancing in social media, I was also freelancing / interning for this student lifestyle platform called Cool Age, which was run by AOL at the time. Unfortunately, it's not around anymore in India, at least. And I had a limit, like a count of giving them 10 lifestyle based blog posts every month. And every now and then they would allow me. So I had to give them like an idea and then they would approve the idea and then I would work on the article. So every now and then I would try to squeeze in a fashion or a beauty story and they maybe would let one or two slip. But what landed up happening with me was, so I launched the blog in 2011 December as Fashionably Ever After. And I feel like I probably took about a year and a half, maybe 2 years to be able to start monetizing it. I was still very much freelancing in social media at the time, operating candid communication at the time. And somewhere, I can't exactly, pinpoint to a specific month or time, but somewhere I had more work on one side, like the blog side, than the social media side. And I said, okay, I need to choose because otherwise I'll go mad. And
So
I
when you say you had more work on the blog side, what did you mean? Did
brands,
people commission you to?
yeah,
Huh?
brands started reaching out to me. It obviously did start out as barters. Like, for example, they would say, we'll send you 2 lipsticks, write a blog post on us. So they'd say, we'll give you 7,000 rupees to come shop from us, essentially a barter again, but like create 2 to 3 looks. And that seemed like a very, fun idea for someone who was fresh out of college. And then by the time the money started coming in, I realized that, okay, it's not that much money right now, but it can be. It clearly can grow.
So you did see the potential there.
Then I did see the potential. Yeah, for sure.
So did you ever have to sit down your folks and explain to them what you were doing?
Oh, no.
No?
No. I mean, my parents, they said, we don't understand these new age things. You understand it. You go for it. You do it. I think the first time they saw the legitimacy was when I want to say 2012. No, maybe it was 2014. I think you were in that episode too. So I want to say 2014 because we just started seeing each other. When Channel V did an episode on a day in the life of a content creator.
Oh yeah, you shot in my house if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So then the timeline to that comes to 2014. And my mum was so impressed by the fact that Channel V wanted to do an episode on my daughter's life. And they got behind the scenes of me shooting. They came into my home. They interviewed my mum. They interviewed you as someone who was one of my clients at the time because we used to work.
Did it?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
You just said they came into your house.
Yeah, you used my house for the shoot,
no,
but I didn't know.
they interviewed
Yeah, okay.
you. I remember this. I'll show you the episode after we record this episode if that helps.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's the first time my mom saw legitimacy and like, oh, she's getting recognition. Great. But no, I never had to sit down and convince them. My mom and dad always had a very simple funda. You do whatever makes you happy. Hopefully it will pay your bills and then some, and you should be fine. Like they never had expectations in a sense that they never put pressure on me. I never had that. Thank God for that.
You spoke about how in the eyes of your mother, the legitimization of your choices came about with that interview, right? In your own eyes, when did it become like, yes, I can do this as a full-time career? I can run a household with this.
When I started making enough money, to be honest, because I'm a very practical person, I knew my heart was in it, but I also, again, because I'm someone who believes in trying to be as self-made as you possibly can be, I just wanted to make sure that there's enough for me in the sense of not just for my monthly bills, but also will I have genuine savings? Is there a long-term plan to this? I remember my dad sat me down very early, not like sat me down, but like kind of in one of the work conversations I had with him very early on. He said to me, look, this has to do with how you look and how you dress. There's gonna be a shelf life. Because much like actors, but with bloggers, because I was a first generation blogger, you don't know what the shelf life is. So as you go along, just keep in mind that at some point you're going to need to have a plan B. You're going to need to have to diversify at some point.
So did you have a plan B?
Verified.
Oh, no, yeah, I mean, verified, yeah, sure. But at that time,
I knew I didn't need a plan B immediately. And if I'm being perfectly honest with you, barring the number game and the algorithm issues that all of us creators have at large, I do think we are now ready as a society, as an audience, to watch someone age even on social media.
of course.
But my dad's concern was that. My dad's concern was, you know how, especially I'm talking about like 12 years ago, we didn't see, let's say, mainstream heroines have leading roles and jobs after they got married or kids, for example. That was his benchmark.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So he was coming from the point of view of once you're like 40 and 45, you may not appeal to your audience as much as you once did. And I said that then with hope. And today I feel I can say the same thing with confidence that my followers have aged with me. So if anything, they'll only relate to my life choices or priorities or just journey even more because they've been with me for as long as they have. Are there different kind of shelf life issues in the industry today? Yes, there are. But none of them have to do with age, which makes me really happy.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen you struggle with the word influencer before.
Mhm.
You've always hated that word influencer. Has that changed over the years? Because now I see you using it a lot more than you have
I
previously.
think I've become a little bit immune to it. I feel like a lot of people use it, and so I have somewhere succumbed to it. Ki haan, मैं influencer हूँ. Given a choice, I would still stick with content creator for sure.
Mhm.
But I do feel like yeah, somewhere I'm now okay with it. You know what I have a problem with? I have a problem with influenza because that's a fucking disease. And when they use that as a slang for influencers, I find that just I am offended because I'm like, you can't stereotype an industry that is a legit industry that is contributing towards the GDP of the country, the marketing industry, the advertising industry. We have the facts and the stats all right there. I feel like
Yeah, I mean, that comes from a place of, let's say,
disregard.
not disregard, I think ignorance largely, because what they see on social media is all you guys looking pretty, getting a lot of free stuff as PR, going to exotic places. That's all they see, and they feel that it's all free, right? What they don't understand is that nothing is free in this world, right? I mean, if you're going to an exotic place, if you're travel, there are deliverables attached to it.
Yeah,
You're creating content for
yeah,
it, right? If you're going to a fancy restaurant to have a meal, again, there are deliverables attached
yep,
to it. You're not just eating and bouncing,
yeah.
right? The only fact is that, yes, sure, you're not paying for it in terms of money, but you're paying for it in terms of your
Kind in
uh,
kind.
in kind and social media currency and social media real estate, which are your own pages,
Yeah.
right? That's what people don't understand. That's what people don't understand, that it is work. It's a legit career, right?
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you, but I also think that it's become this word that people use just to diss.
That's exactly what I'm saying, right? I mean, why they diss is because they don't regard it as a career.
Hmm.
They see it as easy money. They see it as easy life. They see it as completely undeserved stuff, which is ignorance, which comes out of ignorance, right? If it was so easy, I mean, why don't they do it, right? Why can't they just, why just diss? Go ahead and become an influencer and see. Go ahead and become a content creator and see, right? So that's what they don't get. They don't understand. But I mean, I guess that comes from not really understanding the how careers have evolved over the ages, right? Back in my time when I was starting out in advertising, there was nothing called social media, right? There was nothing called anything else. There was bank jobs, there was legit corporate jobs and careers, there was businesses, of course. But as technology progresses, more and more career options do get launched, do come about. Like for example, today people can sit and think of becoming a gamer,
Yeah.
right? Gaming is a legit career option. So I have my opinions on this. On this in per se. When did you first start seeing yourself as a brand,
You
or do you see yourself as
yeah,
a brand?
I struggle with that. Um I struggle with the idea of celebritifying oneself, and I struggle with the idea of seeing oneself as a brand. I know what I am, and I understand my ethos as a content creator, but I do struggle with the idea of, oh, this is brand Anam. I think that imposter syndrome kicks in too often. Um,
But that's probably because you see brand as a very narrow word, right? In my view, everyone is a brand. It doesn't matter whether you're a content creator, actor, it could be anyone. Anyone in this room is a brand. Because at the end of the day, you are, I mean, for lack of a better word, you are selling yourself,
well, if I
right?
if I look at it from that lens, then I feel like my brand is very simple. It's just very real girl. It always has
Yeah,
been.
but when did you start seeing yourself as a brand? Was my question.
Mm,
I mean, you've answered that saying you don't
I don't
really.
clearly,
Yeah.
yeah.
But again, like I said, in my opinion, everyone is a brand. Everyone should be a brand, because even when you're working in a corporate job, there's a certain projection that you're doing so that to further your career prospects, right? The way you're working, etc. It's all forms as a part of your brand. The only difference is your brand is out in the public media. Someone in a corporate job, their brand is not out in the public media.
Yeah, but I'll tell you why I struggle with this because everybody kind of has their own version of what you think of you versus what others think of you. So I feel like I don't waste time thinking of me. I'll give you a really stupid example. Obviously, you know this, where I'm not represented by any agency anymore. I was for a brief period, and I remember somebody who was pitching to me recently, asking me that, "Oh, don't you want to be rep by an agency because it looks good?" And it's good for like brand Anam, brand what when where, which is the name of my blog. And I said, you know what? I don't sit and spend time thinking about how things look. I go with what's practical and I go with what's right. I had an in-house system working just fine all the way till I experimented with an agency for a few months. And now that I've taken back things in-house, I'm happy with it. How it looks and what others are doing in this race of sorts, and it doesn't matter to me. So I probably, the reason I'm so like nonchalant about brand Anam with air quotes for those of you who are listening and not watching, is that I just don't spend any time thinking about what others think. I think of,
You don't?
no, in a from a general larger sense. Other points I do, yeah. I mean, I can see your expression and I feel like
So I have a follow-up question.
I have a feeling of where this is going. But like my point is, in general, I don't. Are there specific points and moments of, should I call them moments of weakness or moments of, oh my God, what would this look like? Yeah, every now and then. But in general, at large, do I care? No, because if I know my work is good, I don't care whether, like, for example, I have brands that have great relationships with me. Oh my God, they shouldn't come directly to me and discuss numbers with me because there should be a management in the middle, or they should only talk to my manager. No, I have nourished that relationship with them for the past, let's say, 10 years, if not complete 12 years, right? Why shouldn't I have that conversation with them? Oh, it looks bad when, talent talks numbers. Fuck that. I don't care about the optics as much as others do. Let me put it like that. Maybe I do, but not as much as others
But
do.
it's at a base level, everyone cares about what other people think.
I have many filters to that.
Okay.
And
Have you ever Googled yourself?
many, many, many years ago. I think the closest, I'm trying to think of when I did last, probably. Maybe when we got married. I don't think I've Googled myself since then. Do you Google yourself?
No, obviously there's nothing there apart from a few industry articles about me.
No, I don't think I've Googled myself since we got married, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
But you are a public figure, so it kind of, I mean, it's understandable that, of course, you would like to know what the public thinks of you.
Yeah, for sure. But
What is the funniest thing that you've read about yourself online?
funniest.
Yeah.
Funniest. You tell me now. I must have told you if I thought it was funny or if I read something about myself that was funny.
There's a lot of funny things that I've read about.
Tell me now. Come, you tell me. You answer. For a change, you turn back into being the guest on this bloody podcast.
That you married me for money.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. The running joke in our house is, Jerry, 6 saal ho gaye. Where's the money? Give me the money.
That you married me for money and that you are politically connected.
I am?
Yeah, that I've read.
How? I need to know.
That you're politically connected and your dad is a huge businessman based in Bandra.
My dad is based in Bandra. My dad has been a businessman. He's living a very happy retired life for the past, I think, 11.
And that you have a duplex in Pali Hill.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I want this duplex. Where is this duplex? At Pali Hill. For
Yeah,
the
Pali
record,
Hill.
my parents don't live at Pali Hill. My parents live in Pali Naka. Pali Village, if I'm being specific. My God, my parents are going to be like, bitch, you're putting out our address on the internet. Yeah, no.
Quite a few things actually, and how this house that we're sitting in right now filming wasn't bought by you, was bought by your dad for you.
Do I need to share my bank statements on Instagram now? Is that what life has come to? See, this shit doesn't affect me because facts are facts.
That's fine. Facts are facts. I'm asking, what's the funniest thing that you've read about yourself?
I genuinely can't think of anything. Yeah, probably the fact that I married you for money is the funniest of all.
Yeah.
It is
Okay.
funny. It is funny because I feel like people will do anything to reduce a woman to what they would like to think of her as opposed to my life choices. Oh, he's 11 years older, so she married him for money. Oh, wait, listen, are you forgetting about the fact that we read that I got the Netflix, I get like PR from Netflix in the sense that I get to interview their cast, etc. It's because of your connections.
Oh, yeah.
Are you forgetting that one?
Yeah.
That's hilarious because Jerry has never worked on anything Netflix. If anything, I am the one who has worked hard enough to build those connections.
Yeah, I don't have any connections with Netflix. I don't have any connections with any OTT platforms.
So yeah, I mean, for the record, there you have it.
I mean, I worked on an ad campaign to launch Hotstar, if I'm not
In
mistaken.
which year?
I don't. I mean, this was with this was when I was at the agency when I met you.
So 2013, 14.
Yeah,
And then you
So, I
left in
think-
15. So
yeah. Hotstar launched then. I think I
are you
worked
in
on the
touch
launch
with anyone
campaign.
from Hotstar? Why aren't you getting me Hotstar PR gigs? Excuse me. Let's turn
No,
this.
I'm not in touch with
Let's
anyone with
turn
hostel.
this
I'm
blame,
not in touch with any of my
but
clients.
let's turn this blame into something actually productive. No, take the idea, reach out to your Hotstar client and get me some
Why?
PR gigs.
Bloody nepotism kid.
See what I mean? It's hilarious when people want to credit him for everything I'm doing. Like
Yeah, I have nothing to do with this. Huh?
मैं तो useless हूँ. मैं तो खुद अपने आप कुछ कर ही नहीं रही हूँ.
I have absolutely nothing to do with this. For the record, I don't want to have anything to do with this.
Jeez.
For the record. So anyway, so I mean, you are a veteran in your space. Sorry to make you sound old,
Yeah, I was
but
thinking
you
that.
have been there, done that, etc. And we can see many influencers, content creators popping up. मतलब बैंड्रा में कुछ जूते उतार के मारो तो किसी influencer पे लगेगा.
Wow.
What is this one tip that you want to share to the upcoming influencers?
Be yourself. That's always my standard tip. Everyone
Oh,
else.
that's boring.
No, but it's true. Everyone else is taken. You can't copy someone else's
That's
work.
boring.
You copy anyone else's work, you copy anyone else's style, you'll keep waiting for them to do something new for you to then copy that. If you are yourself, you evolve at your own pace.
But is there space for anything new out there?
Of course. There's always space, place. You'll make your space. You'll earn your space. There's always space for something new. If you're copying somebody's style, you're copying somebody's brand, ethos, even content strategy, at some point the audience is going to see right through that. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, you were saying it's boring and it's cliche or whatever, but
It is, but I think more relevant a piece of advice that you could probably give them, because I've seen you work in such a close quarters, is persevere, right? What you see on social media is not day one of your journey, right? What the post that you put out today is not day one of your content creator journey. In the beginning, there could be no money, but if you truly believe in it, persevere. There could only be barter deals, right? You'll have to pick and choose. People are not going to invite you to go to exotic places just because you've announced that now you're a content creator or an influencer. So you need to persevere. Right? That is the advice that I'll probably give.
nice.
So anyway, we are coming to the end of my interrogation, so to speak.
Really, you've taken over this entire episode.
So tell me one thing that you love about the influencer industry and one thing that you absolutely detest.
I absolutely detest the politics. The politics sometimes between influencers, but more commonly between agencies, sometimes brands, mostly agencies, I would say, because I feel like I've had a couple of really weird experiences about agencies gatekeeping certain brands or agencies demanding certain things that aren't logical demands to have. I detest our lack of payment structure because I think that they assume everyone out there is just doing this for time pass or God knows what. That's the one part of the system that has not yet been organized. There are days, like if you have a job, you get paid on the first of every month without fail. I make sure my team gets paid, on time. And I feel like I wish more brands and maybe not brands, but agencies kind of sorted that as well because
Is that because some brands still feel that this is not a legit
I
career?
don't know what it's because of, but I think that just in general, the fact that I still have to wait for 3 months to get a payment cleared on a project is absolutely ridiculous. 45 days seems like, oh my God, you're so nice, you'll pay me in 45 days. It almost seems generous. I feel personally, once the job is done, 15 days is a great time to start clearing payments, but 30 days to 45 days is your bare minimum if you are working with a good agency. And I feel like sometimes that can really affect liquidity. I feel like sometimes that can really affect cash flow, especially if you are self set up like I am. And I feel like that those are like my least favorite parts of the industry. My God, that just rolled off the tongue because I know exactly what I hate about being here. My favorite thing, honestly, is the feeling of community that you get from your followers. It's absolutely unmatched. I don't think I've found that sense of belonging towards people I've never met in person, or I've been lucky enough to meet a few of them. That is just unmatched. That's the best feeling. There is
What about your relationship with your fellow creators?
fellow creators also. Sure, I feel community works in both directions with your fellow creators and with your followers. When it comes to fellow creators, unfortunately, of course, it has to do with who you're talking about because there is a lot of competition in the space and some people prioritize competition over community. I'm somebody
Yeah.
for sure. I'm someone who's always been happy to share details, information. I've always been happy to be, so many of my friends, this, call me for advice, and I'll peruse through their contracts for them and say, hey, get this changed, or hey, don't forget that. I'm really candid about these things with my creator friends, but I don't think it's the same everywhere. If anything, there's a set of creators that only looks at it as competition, and there is that set that has their, like, if you have more followers, you almost don't want to be friends with someone with less followers, or if
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, or if you work in with only luxury brands, you think anyone else who works with non-luxury content is beneath you. Yeah, for sure, they exist, they're out there, and even though I'm
Are you saying that? I mean, I'm not. I won't use the word mostly, but there are some people, influencers out there, who are fake.
Yes. And I love how you're asking me this with this little innocent little question when you know very well that they are. Yeah. There are 100% there's influencers who are fake that's out there. I'm not going to deny it. I think that there are
People who you've considered friends before.
100%.
Interesting.
100%. I feel like I got such a good sense of who was truly, because you know what, to say I support you and I love you, baby, mwah, mwah, mwah. Oh God, yeah, sure, great. Everything looks cool on social media. But a little example I have is like when I launched Verified, when we launched Verified, I feel like which is my beauty brand for those of you who are listening and don't have context to this. I really got to know the people who supported me, who went out of their way to support me, who were, and I don't mean their, support in the form of put content for me and posts for me and stories for me. That's all very welcome, of course. But I mean, really, truly there for me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, our first launch campaign was shot with a lot of people from your industry.
Not just the
who
first.
just
In fact, I remember sending out this specific message to a few people saying, hey, launching my own brand, happy to send you a package. Can you just please choose shades of lipstick so I don't end up sending you a random set and you can use them even in your personal life or whatever. And I was just ghosted. I didn't even get responses from some of those people.
But then there are people like Mridul. I want to call out Mridul here and say she's been completely supportive. She's a lovely, lovely young girl.
100%. When you look at Mridul, when you look at Aditi, when you look at Amy, when you look at, even if you look at, sorry, even if you look at Alfia, I feel like so many people were really, truly there and have consistently been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I try to do the same from my end for their projects or their campaigns, even if some of them have brands for their brands. But I do feel like there is a very, very, big set of people that also are just for what the optics look like and not necessarily really truly what it looks like on the internet.
This or that rapid fire, so you have to choose, and this needs to be rapid.
You came with prep, dude.
Yes, this needs to be rapid. And
this is the closest I'm going to get to coffee with Karan, so I'll take it.
Yeah, you're not going to get any coffee or hampers.
I don't want coffee. I want chai, adrak ki.
Okay. Rapid fire, and don't forget that I know you, so I know if you're lying.
I want a prize.
No.
I want a prize.
No.
He's just refusing a
The
prize.
prize is me.
This
Okay.
prize I have.
We are starting.
Apparently, I married you for the money. Give me some money if I play well.
वहाँ पे कुछ चिल्लर रखा हुआ ले लेना.
Fine, go, come on.
Okay, this or that, rapid fire, and needs to be rapid, needs to be honest. All right?
Okay, I'll close my eyes and answer so I can think Karan Johar is asking me these questions.
Okay. Kaftan or pajamas?
Kaftan. You put two of my favorites together.
I don't care.
Kaftan.
Summers or winters?
Summers.
Crabs or prawns?
Fuck you. Crabs.
Vlogs or blogs?
Vlogs.
Sorry?
Vlogs.
Vlogs now?
Vlogs.
Come on.
You just make
That's a lie.
No, vlogs. I haven't written a blog in like years at this
Yeah,
point.
but you are extremely fond of long form
But
writing.
vlogs, dude.
Wow, okay. That's a surprise. Friends or Gilmore Girls?
Gilmore Girls. Friends. Gilmore Girls. I don't know. Oh, Modern Family.
Sunrise or sunsets?
Sunrise.
Kisses or foot massages?
Foot massages.
Likes or comments?
Comments.
So people don't like any of your content.
चलेगा.
Just
Comment बस जरूर कर लेना. Hate भी लिखना है तो comment में लिख देना चलेगा.
Alright, last one. Saif Ali Khan or Gerard Jayaranjan?
Gerard.
Oh, that's a lie. That's a bare-faced lie.
I'm not barefaced.
Oh, sorry, that's a full makeup face lie.
No, Gerard.
Alright. So I have almost come to the end of it.
Oh God, you
With
are
one
just
last,
fully taking over my pod.
with one last question. So, in this last 31 years of a glorious existence, what is the best thing that you've done, and why is it me?
Why is it you? I think it's you because I'm gonna go into this sappy mood if I answer this truthfully, huh?
So, don't answer it truthfully.
No, I have to be truthful. I don't know how not to. Like, but why is it you? I think it's you.
Do it on your own time. Get happy on your own time. Do a special podcast only based on dedicated.
You're
to
asking
me.
for too much now. Huh? Where is that money I married you for? Please write a
But
check.
₹2 extra le.
Shut up. No, I think that.
Oh, sorry. In your language, I'll do a post for you.
Ooh, somebody call the burn ward. Listen, I never tell people that. Please clarify कर दो वरना लोग सोचेंगे मैं फ्री में चीजें मांग के पोस्ट करती हूँ.
नहीं करता. सिर्फ मुझसे मांगती हूँ.
हाँ, सिर्फ इससे मांगती हूँ. बहुत मांगती हूँ जब मांगती हूँ. I think that ever since I met you, only good things have happened in my life, and I'm genuinely mean
That's
that.
supposed to be a joke question.
No, but I'm answering it. I'm actually answering it. So take it. Take it. I think only good things have happened since I've met you. Whether it's been work, whether it's been being able to work on Verified and having you by my side, whether it's us making this house a home, whether it's having this adorable cat that's currently sitting between us that he is aggressively petting because that's all she wants right now. Whether it's you taking over this damn episode, dude. You really truly have taken over. Are you done with all your questions? Can I end this pod? Because I'm going to have to bring you back for me to ask you all my questions.
Yes, I think I have.
Thanks, huh? We're going to truly now end this episode here because Gerard Jayaranjan has taken over my episode. We are definitely going to bring him back at some point, and I promise you I will grill him as much as he has grilled me today. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for hijacking the episode. But you did ask me some really great questions. And I think you deserve a podcast of your own. So we're going to figure something out with the team. And maybe you will hear a little G Talk podcast coming soon. Yuck, what a name. G Spot.
I knew you were going to go.
Took me a second, but I got there. So yeah, thanks for coming on the pod. Thanks for the hijack. Thanks for being you. And come back soon so I can grill you.
I will think about it.